JJ Jinx!
Truck stop!
It is early April, time for another box from Smoky Mountain Knife Works. But first, I wanted to talk about a couple of the knives from last month. First of all, this Boker Stockman knife, I was kind of surprised at the price tag on this thing, $85 I think it was. And I wasn't really too impressed with it. It was, I don't know, maybe it's just the scale material. It doesn't look so pretty. Yeah, that was just kind of my gut feeling when I pulled it out. It was like, I mean, it's cool looking, for sure. I just don't care for the coloration. If it was like a nice green or a blue or something like that, maybe. But I found out why, possibly. It was kind of worth a bit, and that's because the factory that makes these over in Germany, it's made in Solingen, is no longer making them. Production is going to be moved to somewhere else. So these are officially discontinued, and, well, that makes it more collectible, I suppose. Now, the knife that I used from last month's box, the whole month, really, was this one. This is the Buck Model 366. I've got quite a few things to say about it. It wasn't that great. I don't think this is a knife that I would pick to carry with me forever. It's not a desert island knife. And here's why. Well, it's an all-riveted construction. That's not necessarily a bad thing in and of itself, as long as it's put together very sturdily, and you just kind of have to be okay with the fact that you're never going to be able to clean it thoroughly. So anytime there's a little bit of blade play, you're stuck with it because you can't tighten the rivet, you know? It was very lightweight and pretty big. It's a little bit too big for my tastes, but that's okay. That's on me, not the knife. The pocket clip, I actually really liked. It slid in and out seamlessly. And the way that it's angled, it also kicked it off to the side. It was actually noticeable how invisible it felt in the pocket. So that was great. And especially the way it went in and out, awesome. But here's why. You hear that? It's not so much of a pocket clip, it's more like a pocket hook. And it came out of the box like that, so I'm assuming it's not supposed to be like that. And finally, the way it cut was pretty good at first, but it very quickly lost its edge in a bad way. At first I thought maybe it rolled, but upon closer inspection, it's actually got a bit of a chip in it. It's very hard to see with this magnification, so let's have a much closer look. Here we are under a stereo microscope made by Leica. I'm going to check out the edge of the blade. Here's the sharpening choil, making our way down. There's some of the edge that kind of rolled or whatever. And there's the chip. It don't look like much from here, but that really snags. And it's not supposed to be there. I'm not sure if it was there like out of the box or if I discovered it later, but I didn't really do anything to cause it. So I want to say it came out of the box like that. And I've seen that before in other knives. And while we're here, let's have a look at the tip. I like the way it's ground. It just kind of looks cool. You can see the tool marks, the grind lines. It's actually a pretty good job. Good job, Buck. Yeah, it might not look like much in that microscope image, but you could feel it when you cut stuff. And I used it mostly for cutting cardboard by the campfire, and like I said, it did well at first, but then after a while, it got a bit rough. I cut Teflon tape with it and some other stuff at work, and yeah, I guess my point is that a knife like this is something that you would use until it's done, and then you toss it away and get something else, which would be okay, except it's $25. I expected more for that price. But what you are paying for is that right there. But I don't have to worry about that anymore, because I get a new one. Oh. Buck Model 366, you are retired! I'm going to do the usual. You get a first look, and then we'll go one by one. All right. I see some things familiar, and yeah, let's see what this stuff is. We'll start with the candy. This time we have a roll of Sweet Tarts. I don't think I've gotten one of those before. Ah, that's it. I've seen bigger piles, I've seen smaller, and that's okay because I don't eat most of it. First thing that leapt out at me was this lovely hat. A Smoky Mountain Knife Works hat. Ooh, it's brown on the inside. Velcro tightness adjuster. It is an outdoor cap made in Vietnam. One size fits most. You got a big white fluffy mustache. So that's cool. I was kind of wondering if and when they would ever include clothing in these things. Because when you sign up, they ask you for your shirt size. And so you get hats too. This is cool. I like it. Put the candy in it. Okay, I'm going to go straight to this one because it kind of made me laugh. I just bought one of these. It's the United States Space Force K-Bar folding pocket knife.
Oh my god. How weird is that?
See? I've already got one. I bought it at the flea market a few weeks back. I haven't had a chance to do a video on it yet, but now I have two. You know what? I'm okay with that because this is one of those knives where, like, I would like to carry it and use it, but it's a novelty thing, to be honest, and I kind of don't want to scar it up. But now I can, because I've got a brand new one as a backup. You know, it's like those people who collect action figures and stuff. You always get two. One to play with, and one to keep in the box, in the package, on the shelf. Anyway, let me tell you what you get. You get this gray matte colored finish on the metal. The K-Bar logo is kind of made out to look sort of like the NASA logo. And in the very bottom stripe there, it says USSF, United States Space Force. And you got this dimpled scales, which have this like bulge in the middle, which I didn't really know about when I was looking at the photos at first, and I kind of wanted one of these. But it actually really does add to the comfort in the hand. These things are a joy to hold. The pocket clip is reversible, and it's on this kind of raised platform with what looks like brass threading that goes down through. And I kind of like the way that they have this platform that stands off from the dimpled look, which kind of looks like, I don't know, bubbles, or it's different. And this is not the first knife that K-Bar made in this motif. And that's what the subject of the video was going to be that I haven't made yet. It's a very long, slender Tanto blade. So if you're into Tanto blades and interesting handles, and it's a lockback, very, very sturdy too. And it's the action is just enough that you can flick it out, just like that. Neat. Next, we'll do the stickers. We've seen this one before. It's the Full Tang Clan sticker that I got last time. And this is the Bigfoot sticker I got last time. But again, this is great because now I can keep a couple of them just kind of in a scrapbook or in my collection. And then I can use a couple of them as I see fit. And I don't have to worry about not being able to get it back because I've got a backup. Next, I'd like to check out this little box that says Rough Rider on it. They always include something from Rough Rider. Okay, I was going to say, it's probably a little classic folder of some kind, and that's what it is. Not sure what configuration you'd call this. It's kind of a mini Stockman, but it tapers on one end. Kind of interesting. Well, you got your usual jigged bone, nickel silver bolsters with what they call it, match strike thumb nicks in the blade. Looks like we got 2 springs. This is actually pretty nicely made. This is probably a clip point blade. Yes, indeed. And a little pen knife. The walk and talk is about what you expect for these Rough Rider folders. I think it's pretty good, personally. Next, I wanted to see what this is. This is called a Bubba Blade, the ultimate sportsman's knife. 5-inch Lucky Lou, folding fillet and gutting knife. Sheath included. Try the patented no-slip grip handle that stays sticky when it gets wet. Like my woman. I like the color. It's nice and orange, and it's got these cool accent stripes. Wow, this Space Force blade really cuts. Well, here's your Bubba Blade nylon sheath. Well, it left behind the knife condom, but I'll make the noise anyway. Okay, here's your Bubba Blade. The handle also, it kind of reminds me of like dragon scales or cobblestone. You're not going to drop this. It's grippy as hell. This is actually quite amazing. So we have these white accent things up here, and somehow it folds. And you got a choil here for gripping it like that. Okay, I'm not one to fillet things very often, but I am impressed with this handle. Oh, it's a back lock. That's how it works, yes. I knew that. And the Space Force knife tore right through that packaging. Like that, another K-bar knife. A forged wrench knife. 425 high carbon steel. It's a utility knife with a hard plastic sheath made in the USA. Okay, well, I've got a few knives like that, made by Tristan Barnett, sort of a wrench knife. And I've seen this one before from K-Bar, and I was kind of curious about it. I no longer need to be, because I have one. Cool. We got like a Kydex style sheath. A bunch of holes in it for lanyards and straps and whatnot. That's cool. Looks like it's held into place by this dimpled part here. And we have a drop point blade, pretty shiny, highly polished. And a handle that looks like it started its life as a wrench, but probably did not. Pretty thick blade stock. It's surprisingly light for that. Yeah, you could tie a string around it and wear it as a neck knife. It's got this little slot cut out right here. I'm not sure what that's about, but yeah, it's just thinking, okay, it's there. Next, I'm going to go with this one. I know what this is. This is another Rough Rider in one of those boxes. Indeed it is. Check out that decoration. That's really neat. That looks kind of Native American. It is the Old Southwest. Oh, Rough Rider made a cultural appropriation knife. Wow. It's shiny. I love this decoration. It's very intricate. And I like the turquoise inlays. Turquoise is one of my favorite minerals. And we have the red and white striping here. This is really cool. It really stands out. We have a lot of blades in it. I guess this would be sort of a Stockman. Getting a lot of those lately. Yeah, I think so. Because you got a sheep's foot blade here. Clip point blade here. It says Old Southwest on it. And you got one of these little blades that I don't remember what they call it, but it's sort of like a small trapper blade, spade blade rather, that you usually see on trappers. Anyway, yeah. A Rough Rider Old Southwest Stockmanish knife. We'll find out for sure soon. We got one more item, and it is from Old Timer. It is an assisted opening knife. Ironwood handles. I actually have a couple of knives with ironwood in the handles. That's a cool thing. That's a nice material. 7CR17OV steel. There's usually a model number on these Old Timers, but I don't really see anything like that. Let's get it open. And here it is. Most of these old-timer knives I don't really care for that much. Old-timer, you know, the Schrade brand. But this is kind of awesome, actually. Look, like I said before, I'm a fan of ironwood. I think it's a handsome look, and they got this cool knurling put into it. And I really like this inlaid metal accent piece. And on the other side, you have this pretty big tip-down only pocket clip. It just keeps going. Here's something interesting. There's 2 screws in the pocket clip. Well, you have the pivot screw, I suppose, that's holding it in, and then this like supplemental smaller screw. I wonder what that's about. A little bit of extra strength, maybe? I don't know. And that screw goes all the way through. You can see it kind of protruding through the other side there a little bit. Interesting. Well, it's got a liner lock, and it's open assisted. No flipper tab. I prefer those over the thumb studs, but it opens nicely enough. And the steel is highly, highly polished. So this is a pretty well-made knife from my first impression. And I love the way it looks. It just screams Old West to me. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 knives, a hat, and I'm kind of blown away by it. This was a great package. My favorite of the bunch, I think, is kind of somewhere between the K-Bar Space Knife and the Old Timer. I will be carrying both of these. Alright, avert your eyes if you are not in the Army. From the GI box, we get the Smoky Mountain Knife Works hat, the dark brown cotton twill cap, $9.99. This is the Rough Rider brown jigged bone peanut, made from 440A stainless steel, mirror polished, match strike pulls, yada yada, 2.875 inches closed, $9.99. So it's either that or a hat if you got 10 bucks. Now the Old Timer Ironwood assisted folder, just from the way it looks, and the fit and finish of it and all that, I would have guessed this cost way more than it's listed as. This is truly impressive at this price point, and it's only $13.99. That's pretty swell. Yes, this was actually a Stockman, the Rough Rider Old Southwest Stockman 440A steel blades. It's got half stops, the frosted etch on the main blade we saw, synthetic turquoise inlay, $19.99. Now, the Bubba blade actually came with the Officers Club box. It's got that 5-inch high carbon stainless steel clip point blade with a satin finish. And yeah, I didn't say it at the time because I was a little overwhelmed with what I was looking at. The blade stock on this thing's really thin, 0.125 inches. But you know what? That's good for a fillet knife. It's big. It's 11 inches overall. $21.99. Also part of the Officers Club box was the K-Bar Space Force knife, which is actually a coarser model. It's got what they call a gray powder-coated finish. 4.37 inches closed. 787 inches overall. It weighs 3.2 ounces, and you can have yours at $39.99. I got mine for much less. And finally, the KA1119 wrench knife, they are calling this. It's got a very shiny 3-inch 425 hard carbon. It's steel with a stonewash finish and a black polymer sheath. Black polymer, that could mean literally any plastic. It doesn't mean anything. Well, the price on this one surprises me. It is also $39.99. I would not pay that much money for this. It's got a little bit of a jimped ramp right here, so I guess with these kinds of sheaths, there's usually a point where you get to, yeah, there you go, you push it off with your thumb. For some reason I was like tempted to do that down here, but that would have been bad because that's where the sharp place is. Anyway, an overpriced wrench knife. Again, that's what you're paying for. So that's pretty neat. 3 items in the officer's box. And again, quantity this time around. What did I miss from the general's box? because I don't want to shell out another $100 for these things. I would have gotten a Boker Stag Folding Hunter. A satin finish high carbon stainless steel clip point and drop point blade with nail nicks. So a classic folder. Again by Boker, kind of like last week, but this one is just more expensive. $179.25. Hopefully that's worth it to somebody. That I would have been disappointed if I switched to the General's box and got that right off the bat. I wouldn't have liked that. Anyway, thank you, Captain Tomahawk, for this lovely spread. I look forward to carrying the space knife.